Okay, we're back after a few months. Kamusta ka na, Ramil? 2 months after the big day.
I'm doing well, Ging. As a matter of fact, I feel more energized. I feel more going. Parang,
Really?
yes, yung feeling na refresh. Oo. Maraming learnings. Maraming excitements. Of course, hindi nawawala ang a little challenges. However, overall, I'm feeling what I'm feeling today.
Okay.
Because I had a very positive, very learning-filled adventure nagdaang 7 months.
Okay. First things first.
Yes.
What you told me just right now is something a bit of a surprise to me. And it's also something very encouraging because I thought you would have felt otherwise after the last few months. But seeing you now, you're sort of giving me more energy. Yeah. You're giving me more energy to go out there and do what we love to do. Okay. Now going back,
Yes.
how was the election experience for you? Going around the city, meeting people. What to you yung mga biggest lessons?
Yes.
And surprising realizations of the campaign and the elections?
First off, before I tackle the question, every time I would go out to campaign, to say hello, have a meeting, one-on-one, which is also part of campaigning.
Yes.
Because the idea is to have the interaction.
Okay.
I always condition my mind na I'm bringing the people or somebody or somewhere some kind of a good news.
Okay.
Yeah, so I carry that.
That's the mindset.
Yeah, that
every day.
mindset.
Okay.
So people will see me, I mean, the usual me, I'm kind of smiling, I'm energetic, or I'm kind of like very interested in people.
Okay.
So with that in mind, it really affects the outcome of the interaction.
Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing that I would say that is very positive is the hospitality of the people.
Really?
Yes. When I approach them, and I have a funny way of approaching them.
Okay.
Sometimes I would say, may kandidato po dito.
Okay.
Nag-iisa lang ako. So parang, nandun ba sa likod? O nasaan? At susunod na? And then sasabihin ko, ako po yun.
Asan yung grupo?
Exactly. And then they would kind of like burst in laughter or kind of like, You get a mixed reaction.
Yeah.
So, when I introduce myself as a candidate,
Okay.
people have this, you would see the dramatic change. Like the eyes pop open, the body moves, something happens.
And this is something, let me cut you there for a while. And this is something that I noticed when I accompanied you before the start of the campaign sa school. When we were trying to pick up somebody, a friend of yours.
Yes.
Di ba? Pasok tayo sa parking. May mga tricycle doon.
Yes.
Tapos you knew some people, but most of the people na andun, hindi mo sila
Natin kilala. Yeah.
And then you just went out like, Gandang hapon po. Ako po si Ramil Cueto. Ako po ay kumakandidato. And you see both the genuine surprise and relief sa mukha ng mga tao.
Yeah.
I think the reason for that is they see you as something different from the usual. Tama ba?
Tama. Kasi ang typical or initial reaction sa akin parang hindi ako approachable. Pero once I open my mouth and they see my body language, madaling ma-establish yung peaceful, easy feeling.
Correct.
To enter into a conversation.
And then they start talking like long lost friends di ba?
Exactly.
Ay naku, sir, kayo pala po yung kandidato. Kami ho ganito ho ang problema dito. And then I find that very refreshing.
So yun, people are hospitable in that sense. Hindi yung sense na papainumin ka, papakainin ka. Hindi yun.
Okay,
What I mean here, hospitality is they're welcoming you into the space.
Yes.
Kasi pwede kasing mangyari na hostile sila
Correct.
Especially if they have a certain political leaning. What happens is na equalize. And then they enter into a conversation.
Okay.
So I would say that's the first thing that I discovered.
Another thing that struck you the most during the campaign, aside from what you say, the genuine hospitality of yung mga tao.
Alam mo naka-move sa akin modesty aside. Meron akong positive effects sa mga bata
Wow.
So, may isang barangay Malitam. Pagdating ko doon, yung mga bata, may isa doon, kilala niya ako. Kasi maraming beses kami nagkita sa iba-ibang parts ng Batangas City. And there was even a time we ate together sa isang lomi house. With several children.
That's a great equalizer. Di ba? Sharing food at a lomi house.
Very nice. So, nakita niya ako and said, Kuya. And then the boy is old enough to understand that I'm campaigning. And he really wanted to help me. And he brought a number of other children. And before we hit the road in Barangay, we had halo-halo. And the 3 halo-halo orders became like total of 16 orders. Kasi meron ditong gusto na rin humingi, barangay tanod, etc. So, natuwa ako. And then after the halo-halo, we started going to the road. So, to me, it's an example of hindi mo ma-expect kung ano yung tulong o mangyayari in that. So, kailangan handa ka, open ka, and then you play along in a way.
You sort of just go with the flow.
Yes. Yes. May mga nanay, ate, nagpapalagay ng tarpaulin. And if I were to think it's not really that efficient to put it there or effective to put it there. However, because there is an invitation.
And there's a willingness.
I totally agree. And so this is one philosophy that I learned in the process, meaning never, if it's really possible, to disagree. Just agree to the invitation, accept the invitation, put the tarpaulin, get inside the house, have a conversation. And to me, this is a very powerful highlight of my campaign.
Just being open to the possibility.
Yes.
Now, what's the experience of the campaign something that you expected, or was it something of a surprise for you? You running for a public office for the very first time. Nagulat ka ba, or is it something that you knew all along? Talking about the experience itself.
I had no idea, to be honest. Although, as a person, not as a running for a political office, I have a way to get to people.
I see.
But now that I'm wearing a different hat, I had no idea how they're gonna accept me. But as I told you earlier, there is this hospitality and genuineness in the interaction.
And you did try to be creative with your approach, right? I saw some pictures of you with that cart thing.
Yes,
in Mabini Plaza. And I think this was Sunday after Mass.
I did a couple of times in the plaza, and then a couple of times, I think, in the old market.
How was that?
New market. It's very effective. Because you have like an entity, not a person, kind of introducing who you are. Right.
That trolley kind of thing that you're lugging along.
I would position it in a very strategic place where most people can see it.
Okay, okay.
With consideration to the traffic, to the safety, because we don't want to be intruding in a space that we just have a privilege. Because I ask permission. I just don't post myself. I go to the admin people. I go to the people responsible for the place. Is it possible?
So it was something that's well thought of, not something that's random.
No.
Okay.
No. Everything I did here has a level of thinking and planning.
Okay, okay.
However, there's also a lot of revelations that I have to do during the day.
Okay.
But you're right, it's a creative approach, and it gave me a lot of opportunities to attract people to a conversation, because that's really what I'm gunning. You know, it's not just I hand out something. No, I would say
open the gates to a conversation.
Yeah. Yes. And I had a lot of conversations. Yeah. Positive conversations. Yeah.
You just wanted to hear it straight from people.
Right.
And yun bang sinasabi ng mga tao during those, I would say, random conversations? Because that's the first time most of them were probably seeing you.
Yeah.
Was it something also that you already expected, or nagulat ka ba with some of those revelations and conversations?
Mostly, I feel good. With surprise, of course, that people appreciate the efforts to go out there.
Okay.
With no large infrastructure.
Correct.
They
with
really,
no machinery.
They really admire that somebody would put himself in that kind of situation. So
okay.
It's very fulfilling. Yeah.
Okay. So you would characterize, correct me if I'm wrong, you would characterize the whole campaign experience as something that's fulfilling.
Very fulfilling.
Okay.
Because the many strategies or gimmicks, they call it gimmicks, that I did has one goal, one goal, that is to create a conversation.
Okay.
And the conversation is to understand the needs.
Okay.
And in addition is for me to give opinions or thoughts.
Okay.
And then thirdly is to provide my view, my worldview of our society.
Correct.
My vision, my mission, my core values, and how we move forward. So it's always forward looking. And an example will be when I talk to the tricycle drivers and say, Kuya, ate, hindi po ito gimmick. Ito po yung manalo, matalo. We will really put together a cooperative for motorcycle and tricycle owners, because as we have, discovered from you, from the conversation, it's something meaningful.
Okay. So the experience was something fulfilling and eye-opening for you.
Definitely.
And it's also, as you view it, and as you said a while ago, it's a step in the right direction.
Most definitely.
Diba?
Yes.
Now, as far as the results are concerned, what are your personal feelings about the results locally first and then on a national level?
That's a very good question. And before I tackle this question, I'd like to give you a little bit of my analysis of the results.
Yeah, okay.
I think mostly the results are pretty much dictated by the political maturity of the voters. When I say political maturity, ang attitude ng ating mga voters ay waiting for the politicians to introduce to them themselves and share the vision.
Okay.
So it's a passive approach.
Okay.
The majority of our kababayans are still on the passive mode.
Yes.
In regard to how they view the election. My contention or my thought about it is they have to be more not aggressive, but more proactive.
Yes, that's the term, proactive.
Meaning they would go beyond tarpaulins, they would go beyond visits, but they will exert efforts to get to know their
and
candidates.
make themselves more involved in the process.
Yeah, like for instance, and we can talk about it later in the plans. A brief example will be me, Ramil. I would go to Comelec or areas where there are information about the voters, collect them, and then engage myself in my group chat, family group chat, friend group chat. All the group chats were involved, and instead of engaging in chit chat with no direction, you would propose like, okay, today may we talk about our candidates for mayor.
Okay.
I brought something. I want you to react. If you brought something, we will react. So it becomes a well-structured conversation, and there are something to learn.
And I saw this.
I think
personally.
this is a step towards creating a politically mature society. Yeah.
I saw this personally during the campaign, and I realized you've always tried to bridge a personal approach, but more of a scientific approach to it.
Exactly.
And I saw this firsthand.
Okay.
And that was the first time that I saw something like that. And it made me realize that there really is no divide between science and personalities and emotions.
Yeah.
And you're sort of parang the embodiment of that You're able to put these things together and make it work.
A very good observation, and I would say it came from my experience as a teacher and trainer. Because when you are teaching or training, you're like an actor.
Yeah.
You act the teacher or the trainer personality, and then when you're listening from your students and participants, you're more like an advisor, counselor, sympathizer kind of person. And I also would like to draw an example from how I raised my daughter.
Okay.
So because she's only child, so I had many roles to play. One of which is like a playmate. We play together.
Okay.
And when we play together, my body language is different. It's more soft and amiable.
Yes.
My voice is like very, very soft. And then when I would like to switch to being a father, there's a change in body language and a more authoritative tone in my voice.
Okay.
And my demeanor is very different.
Okay.
Yeah. So the same applies when I campaign. When I approach the people, I'm like a friend.
Okay.
I'm like a brother, engaging. But when I talk about a campaign promise, a specific message,
or
an insight, my vision, my thoughts, I put myself a little bit, not above them, but more of a teacher, leader, inspirer kind of person. So this happened quite a lot in my campaign, my meeting with people, and during the conversation, it's go back and forth. I become a brother again. I become a teacher again. Something like
you
that.
play multiple roles depending on the situation you find yourself in.
Like sympathizing is definitely, empathizing is definitely very important, because once they've opened up, you could not set aside what they said, but you have to address it. Without totally solving the problem or the issue, but at least you're there to understand, and say, we're going to revisit this. This is a good input. And let me write it down because I may forget it.
And this is something also that I've learned even while in college, even while working. Correct me if I'm wrong, na-observe ko lang, in most situations, whether it's a big group or a small group, people are always looking for somebody to go up in front.
Yes.
Take a microphone, even if there's no microphone, or at least speak as some sort of a leader figure for them. They're always looking for that.
Yeah.
Tama ba?
Tama. It's still the prevalent attitude. However, what I do, and I think with success I'm able to achieve it. What I do is I softly encourage people to, come on, sige po, wala naman po ditong mali o tama.
Okay, okay.
Hindi naman po tayo huhusgahan dito.
Okay.
Sige po, ate, tell us how you feel. And then once they have the safety net, they have the psychological safety, yun, magsasalita na.
And it always goes back to what you told me earlier during the campaign. This is something that I learned during the first interview that we did. That for you, leadership, development, is a process na dapat involved and may buy-in lahat ng tao. It's not just the leader telling people what to do, but people, what to call this, making an effort not only to learn, but become themselves part of the process.
Yes, inclusivity. Inclusive. Which I believe people are open. People would have the safety to participate.
Okay.
Yeah. Hindi yung masyadong controlled ng speaker, leader, tapos pag may idea, hindi pa tapos yung idea, binabaril na kaagad.
Correct.
Na torpedo na. So, the direct impact to the person is to be shy, and the rest of the people are becoming more quiet.
Okay.